What is up, y'all? I'm Dr. Ray Gorman, physical therapist and owner of Engage Movement. If you're anything like me, you probably experienced when you were working with clients, when you're working with athletes, that there was a time where you were giving away so much value. And one of the main components of what we do at Engage Movement with our performance provider growth model is we teach clients how to diversify their offer and blend an in-person service with a virtual offering. Now, we call that virtual offering a prescriptive exercise program. It is something that is delivered to the client asynchronously beyond and in tandem with their in-person sessions. So it literally is the blend, best of both worlds, giving your clients high value touch points in person and giving them what we call a prescriptive exercise program that bridges the gap in between those sessions and ultimately goes beyond. Now, one of the biggest questions that we get is people come to us all the time and they say, well, Ray, I'm already doing this. I'm already giving away a home exercise program to my clients, and that's just included in my sessions. How do you differentiate a home exercise program from a prescriptive exercise program? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So what I want you to know is that home exercise, the rules around a home exercise program, the definition around home exercise program, those are made up, right? Somebody along the way said, hey, it'd probably be a good idea to give our clients something to do at home to bridge the time in between our sessions. Yeah, I do think that's a good idea, and it's something that I still did when I was practicing. However, knowing that that set of rules was made up, I just decided to create my own set of rules and create another kind of bracket of exercise guidance on the spectrum. So really what I did was I just drew a line in the sand of what did I consider a home exercise program and what did I consider a prescriptive exercise program. And what that ended up doing for my cash practice is that ended up creating a lot of recurring revenue. It allowed me to generate revenue that was no longer tied to time, so that when I did things like go on vacation, have cancellations, when I was sick, I still had money coming in that wasn't tied to sessions. It literally gave me peace of mind. It was also very valuable to just the general way that I like to practice, right? My clientele, they were already coming into the gym for 5, 6 hours, days of exercise. It felt counterintuitive to me to bring them in for another hour once a week for so often. So I really saw this as a mechanism for just simply the way that I liked to manage clients. So let's get into it a little bit and let's kind of dive into how we at Engage Movement would differentiate a home exercise program versus a prescriptive exercise program. So first of all, on the home exercise program side, I look at this as a low dose of exercise that I'm generally prescribing for desensitization and introduction into graded exposure, right? So maybe somebody has a cranky joint and we're just trying to get them to gently move into that joint with something like a prone press up, something like a bridge, something like a foam roller up the wall, right? I'm just trying to get that joint desensitized, and there's not really a lot of skill tied to that component. It's just hey, I want you to do this once a day or once every other day or twice every day. And I'm just having that client kind of go through those motions. Now, with that, it's repeated frequently, like I said, once a day, once every other day, twice a day, with minimal progressive overload, right? I'm not necessarily looking to take that level of exercise and progress it like I would strength work. I'm probably going to take them into a higher skill movement pattern or a higher skill movement rather than just providing them with, infinite more reps. The other thing that I think is really important is that with a home exercise program, there's generally no progression or communication until the next session. Now, I know some of you guys are looking at this and saying, but wait a second, I am communicating with my clients. I am allowing them to text me. I am giving them access to me between sessions. Yeah, and that's probably burning you out to a little extent, right? It's probably not allowing you to ever actually shut off from work mode. How do I know that? I made that same mistake too. So one of the things that I noticed is when I did start to charge clients for this, I was able to kind of bottle all of that up, put it into an area where I actually could desensitize myself and shut down at night and get a good night's sleep and no longer stress about my personal text messages going off, right? That's a little tangential, but I think some of you watching this will understand exactly what I mean when you hear that. With a home exercise program, we're also just kind of giving general rep schemes, right? 2x10, 3x10, ultimately because the specificity is just less important, right? Again, we're looking for that desensitization factor, not necessarily that strength building factor where our rep schemes would have to be very specific. I'm also just giving lower skill exercises. So they're done generally independent, right? Like I don't need to teach my client. There's something like a squat clean, right? Or something like a pogo jump even. Teaching them a bridge, very simple, very easy. Teaching them a prone press up, very simple, very easy. Teaching them foam roller up wall, very simple, very easy. So there's a lower skill component because we're trying to just do it for a different reason where we're matching, training IQ and also severity and acuity, severability. The end goal here is really to establish an entry point so that we can reintegrate high-level tasks, right? So I think one of the things that we all agree upon is like the home exercise program isn't meant to be done forever. It is meant to be done until we can do something higher skill, higher demands, something that is getting us closer to that performance goal. The other part here that really kind of sucks is that it is just included as part of the session cost, right? It's not billed extra. We're not billing extra for that home exercise program. We are just lumping that into part of that treatment. And again, we're opening ourselves up to some areas where we're giving away a ton of value. And ultimately, you could be getting $200, $300, $400, $500 a month for that. Now, let's transition over to a prescriptive exercise program. So remember, now we've drawn that line in the sand, right? Prescriptive exercise program, I'm looking at a moderate to high dose of exercise to achieve a specific goal when higher levels of graded exposure are required to adapt. So one of the biggest problems that I had clinically was when a client felt better, they act like they're out of pain, they actually needed more therapy. But getting them to come in 3 times a week when they were paying me $150, $200 a session, economically, that just didn't work. So what did I do? I changed the service medium to something like a prescriptive exercise program. Now the emphasis is on calculated progressive overload so that I can build a protective workload. I can reintegrate things like load, volume, intensity, skill, all of these things under my direction, right? That's super important. It's not just about the programming, it's also about my decision-making process. We're going to do this in a very efficient way. And what we teach in our performance provider growth models, we teach you the exact system of how you take the data collected at your evaluation and within 10, 15 minutes, create a program for your client that you can then manage in 6 to 10, sometimes 15 if you have a really cranky client, 15 minutes per week. So the overall lift for the provider is very minimal on this, where I know a lot of people out there who are providing programming are spending upwards of an hour per week. Our clients are spending less than an hour per month because of the system that we use and the process that we teach. So that's super important, right? So once we've established that tolerance level, that entry point level, this is really where the value of the PEP comes into play, is that continuous feedback from clients, right? We're getting feedback in between our sessions. This is super important as our sessions get further apart, further down the spectrum. And therefore, we are able to make dynamic adjustments between sessions instead of needing to wait for the next in-person session to be able to make that adjustment. So what I want you to understand here is that the value isn't necessarily in the programming. It's in the client getting access to your decision-making process, which is going to need to go beyond your in-person sessions so that you can truly bridge that gap from rehab to performance, like everybody says that they want to do, but nobody actually has great processes in place to be able to do that. That's what the PEP solves. It also gives us access to higher skill and higher loading potential exercises and progressions, right? So we're taking that client as over time, their irritability decreases, their training IQ increases or is already high. We're able to give them higher level exercises that look closer to what they are looking to do. Now, that doesn't matter if it's swinging a golf club full speed, doesn't matter if it's riding a road bike, a mountain bike, going back to a CrossFit class, an Orange Theory class, performing triathlon training. It doesn't matter what it is. We can use the PEP as a mechanism to solve that specific problem. So again, it's not just about the program that you're providing. Some of my PEPs are a warm-up and 2 exercises, but those 2 exercises are solving a specific problem to get my client back to their end goal. That brings us to the end goal, right? We want this to be replicating a strength and conditioning program. We want it to be as closely replicated to strength and conditioning program as possible without being a full fitness program. So another mistake that we generally see providers making is they're providing a full fitness program. It's taking them too long to do, and they're actually not being adequately reimbursed for that. They're not being adequately paid for that to where the time and effort actually makes sense. With the PEP, we are solving one specific problem, right? And the beauty of this is now you have a mechanism to blend in-person and virtual service, synchronous and asynchronous services in order to generate $200, $300, $400 a month in recurring revenue per client that goes on this offer. And a lot of the clients are staying on that offer for, a 6 to 9 month range. So I want you to think of what that would do to the lifetime value, right? I want you to think of what it would do to your business to have $3,500, $4,000, $5,000 in recurring revenue coming in each month on top of selling the same exact number of packages and sessions to your clients, right? That's the beauty of our model is we just are able to add a different service mechanism in order to provide a better outcome and experience for everyone around, where you can make money that isn't directly traded for time. Your client can start to get access to you without having to come to the clinic. And ultimately, you can be the provider that bridges the gap between rehab and performance. If you're interested in learning more, head over to our website, engagemovement.com. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at RayGormanDPT. And all you need to do is DM me PPGM, and I'll send you over a free training that entirely explains our model and what we do. Look forward to hearing from you.